we are going to be starting this one of, the most fascinating topic, and which is algebra, right? So we're going to understand what is algebra and different terminologies that are associated with algebra, right? So now, firstly, just to define what is algebra. Algebra, simply it can be, defined as that part of mathematics in which, the letters and other general symbols are used, probably to represent numbers and quantities in formulas and also in equations, right? So basically, that's what algebra means, right? But I think that's not going to be our main focus today. So today, what we are going to be focusing on is we are going to be understanding different types of, algebraic terminologies that are associated with it, right? So now, firstly, what we need to understand is we are going to understand what is a variable, right? Or how can we understand this terminology variable, right? So basically, a variable, it is a lower letter, right? So basically, it's a lower letter of the alphabet that is used in algebra to indicate unknown, right? So it is a lower letter. So it's basically that lower or small, if you don't want to say, a small letter used in algebra to represent unknown, right? So basically, this is uh, a, a, this is basically, an alphabet or a letter that is just used to represent an unknown, right? For something that is unknown, right? So you can represent something that is unknown by either, your, your letter A, your letter B, your letter C, your letter X, or any letter for that matter, right? So that is going to be your variable. Oh, it's okay. Then let's say now number two, right? So let's look at our second terminology, right? So now what we are going to be looking at now is we're going to be understanding what is a constant, right? To understand what is these terminology called constant, right? Now basically a constant is a term with a fixed value, right? It is we are saying it is uh this is your I. No, it is a term, right? It is a term with a fixed value, right? So I know this probably might not make sense, but now, for example, if let's say you are in an equation where you have 2x plus your 4y subtract 2. Now this one, your constant is going to be this one because it's basically that one with a what? With a fixed value. How to get? This is a fixed value. Remember, these ones are not fixed because this y and also this x can be a representation of something else, isn't it so? So basically, this two here is going to be now your constant altogether. So this is how you can define the word or the term constant, right? So now let's look at another way that we can try and understand. So now what we are going to look at now, surely you've heard me, I've mentioned a lot of things about this word term, right? So we need to unpack what is a term, right? Now basically we are saying these are separated what? They are separated by either a positive side or a negative side, right? So they are separated uh this it's separated with either a positive side or a negative side, right? So terms we are saying they are separated by either a positive side or a negative side, right? Now, for example, now if I can give you different terms, right? Now, for example, if let's say you have 2x plus your 4y, right? Now, these are going to be how many? This is going to be term number one. Let's use another color, right? This is going to be your term number one. This is going to be your term number two. And why are we saying that? Because they are separated by a plus sign altogether. So therefore, remember we are saying they can either be separated by a plus or a minus, nothing else, right? So since these two are separated by a plus, so therefore they qualified to be called two terms. Now, for example, if let's say you have, let's say, to x, let's say subtract your 2y over 8x plus, let's say, your 3. Once again, now remember we are saying these can either be separated by a plus or a minus, right? So this one here is going to be your term number 1. Now this one is just 2 divided by it's negative 2y divided by 8. And this one, as long as you are still having a division sign here, this division sign or a multiplication sign doesn't necessarily do what? Separate. It doesn't separate the terms, right? So you can just consider this also a term and also this a term, which means in totality, here you are having how many? You are going to be having 3 terms altogether. So now this is as far as terms are concerned. Now let's look at, let's say, another last example that I've been using 2. Now, let's say now in this regard, let's say now you are given that let's say you have 7y multiplied by 3x, right? Now, as long as there is a multiplication sign here, so this one is still going to be regarded as what? As one term, right? This is going to be regarded as one term. Now, for example, let me just give you another example here. Now, let's say in this case, let's say you are given that you have 3x subtract 4y over 12xy altogether. Now, this one, can you see that this division sign here it's 3x subtract 4y divided by 12x and y, right? So, and as long as there's a division sign here, this is still also going to be regarded as what? This is still one term altogether. So, as much as there is this subtraction sign, but this one, as long as there is a division sign between these two terms and also this one, so therefore you are going to regard this as still one term altogether. So hopefully this makes sense now, right? So we are saying it's only when they are separated with a positive sign or a negative sign, that's where you can regard, or you can safely say now that these is going to be your terms altogether. Now, hopefully this will make sense. Now, let's look at another terminology that we can explore. Now, let's look at now what is this term called coefficient. We also have this term called coefficient, right? So now what is coefficient? Basically, a coefficient is it is the number side that a variable is multiplied by, right? Now, so we are saying this is a numbered, this is numbered, a numbered side with what? That a variable is what is multiplied with. So now, and this is important to understand. Now we are saying now, for example, if you, let's say you are you have 4a, right? So this, therefore this one, this 4 therefore is going to become your what? Your coefficient, right? Or let's say you are having, let's say, your 1 over 4b, right? This let's get this nice color. This b over here is going to become what now? This b is your what? Is your variable. So therefore 1 over 4, this 1 over 4 is going to be what? Your coefficient, because it's basically, in simple terms, your coefficient is the number next to the variable, right? So which means now, let's say when you have 3x subtract, let's say 12y for argument's sake, right? So this 3 over here and this 12 over here is going to be, pretty much considered what? Your coefficient altogether. So those are going to be this is going to become your what? Your coefficient, right? So this is as far as coefficients are concerned. Like, so now let's say whatever you are having, let's say you are having a value of, let's say, 14 xy, right? This 14 here is going to be your coefficient altogether. So the coefficient is basically the number next to the what? The variable. So it is important that you also have the variable for you to have the coefficient, right? So because, for example, if this is, let's say you have 12x subtract 3, this 3 here is it doesn't qualify to be regarded as what? As a coefficient, because that one is a constant, right? There is no variable next to it. There is no variable. But this one, this 12 here, is going to be the coefficient of what? Of x altogether. And hopefully this, makes sense for you now. You don't have an idea, right? So basically, a degree is the highest power in the expression. It is the highest power in the expression, right? In the expressions, right? So, and I know some of you firstly will want to understand what is this expression, right? In simple terms, expression is just it's two or more terms, or it's going to be terms that are either added or subtracted together, then that's going to be expression. But they could also be multiplied or divided altogether. So that's an extra expression, right? So when you are saying this is the highest power in the expression, right? Now, let's say, for example, for argument's sake, you are given that you have, let's say this is 3x squared subtract, 4x cubed, let's say, plus your 12 altogether. Now, they are saying what is going to be the degree of this expression? So basically, the degree of this expression, you are going to look at what? You're going to look at the highest power. And I think for now, as soon as you think of highest power, you think of what? Yes, you think of exponents, right? Right? So which means you are looking at the one with the highest exponents. Now, when you check here, which one is going to be the one with the highest exponents? This is 3 to the power of x squared. This is what is 4 to the power of x, this, right? To the power of 3, right? So therefore, which means this equation, right? Therefore, we can write it as 3x, or rather 4x to the power of 3 plus your 3x squared plus your 12. And this, this 3 over here, therefore, is going to become your what? This is going to become your or rather your degree altogether, because this is going to be the one with the highest power, right? Similarly, let's say if you can be given that this is 12xr, then this is, let's say, 3x, r. Let's get another example. Now, let's say now you are given that this is, let's say, you have 12y, 3, let's say, subtract your 40, let's say, x to the power of 3 plus your 12x to the power of 4, right? Right? Now, this x to the power of 4 here is going to be the highest power. So if this is the highest power, therefore the degree, right, is going to have this particular expression is going to have the fourth degree altogether. So similarly, let's say you are getting something, let's say you have 2x squared subtract 4 x, let's say, plus 2. This the degree of this expression is going to be what? Is going to be to the power of 2. So therefore it's going to be 2, which is going to be the degree of this particular expression altogether. Now hopefully this makes sense. How can we define this algebraic expression? Let's fix this. Let's write it nicely here. It's algebraic expression, right? Now, basically, an algebraic expression, in simple terms, it is a sum with one, or more terms, of which at least one is available. I know this someone is seated here to think, thinking, what did I just say, right? Let me just put that into writing. So we are saying, this is going to be a sum, of, right? It is a sum of or with one or more terms, that are what, which at least, which at least, one is available, right? So basically this, this to, simplify this, basically your algebraic expression, it's the sum of either your one or more terms that are either collected together or grouped together through addition or a subtraction side. I would get that is going to be your term, but it doesn't necessarily have to involve either your addition side or subtraction side, right? But I think there are different things that we can explore within this. Remember that within algebraic expressions, you have the first things, or we have these things which, or we have these expressions which are called for what? For example, a monomial. Monomial, right? A monomial. So basically, what a monomial is, it's basically a term. So it is a single term, or it is just one term, right? So what is one term? Remember, we said terms can either be separated by either a plus or a minus, right? So therefore, when they say you are having a monomial, for example, that's like your 2x, or it could be, let's say you are having 3a, b, c altogether. This is still your term. Or let's say you are having 4 multiplied by, it's 4x multiplied by, let's say, your 2y. This is still going to be a monomial, right? Because this is just one term. Remember, term can either be separated by a plus or a minus. Okay. So now, underneath algebraic expression, we also find what? Binomials. Binomials, right? I think from the word mono, which means one, okay. And here in this case, we have bi, and bi means two, right? So basically, now binomial is going to be your what? This is going to be called your two terms. This is when you have two terms, or rather a sum of two terms altogether. Remember, sum, the word sum means addition, right? Addition or subtraction. Is it addition or subtraction? Yes. Yeah. So now, which means now when you are having two terms, altogether, it's when you have, let's say, your 2x plus, let's say, your 4y altogether. These are going to be two terms. Or in other case, let's say, for example, you have 4ab plus your 3ac altogether. This is going to still pick up your binomial altogether. Or remember, whenever, let's say, you are having 2x, let's say, over, let's say, 5, let's say, subtracts 6x. Isn't it so? Now, this one, as long as there is this multiplication, subtraction side here, this is going to be what? This is going to be two terms. Okay. And this division side here is not considered. Okay. So therefore, that is far as your algebraic expression is concerned. Now we also have now what we call trinomials. I know we are still going to explore this in much details when we continue. So, but trinomials, I think they are coming from the word three, right? Let's get another nice color there. So when you think of the word trinomial, you are thinking of three terms, right? Because this is going to be from the word tri, right? Remember words such as triangle, because they are having three. It's a three-sided figure shape, and it consists of three vertices, right? So trinomial is basically when you have how many? Three terms that are either separated by what? A plus or a minus. Now, for example, let's say you are having two x, let's say over let's say 3y subtract your 2x plus your 9, right? So now this is also going to be considered a trinomial. Altogether, this is still a trinomial because consists of what? It consists of three terms, right? However, now your trinomials can also be grouped, or they can also be understood as what? They can also be understood, let's say, now as your ax squared plus your bx plus your c altogether. This is also a standard form, and it still qualifies to be called a trinomial because it is how many terms? It is one, two, and then three terms. And remember, we said terms can either be separated by a plus or a minus. So therefore, this qualifies to be, regarded as your trinomial. Are we together? Yes. Hopefully now, by now, this is making sense to you. Now, I want us to try just uh, a last example so that then we can wrap up this. So lastly, what I want us to look at, some of this last example. Let's say now you are given that for the expression, you are having x to the power of 5, and you are having plus x squared subtract x to the power of 3 over 2 subtract 4 plus x. Now they say now for the first one, you are required to write what is going to be the variable of this expression. Now, I think as we might have learned that now, firstly, now if they ask you of the variable, remember we said what is, how do we define a variable? It is the lower alphabet letter that represents an unknown, right? So therefore, do you have any letter here? Yes, you have letter, and this letter is what? It is X, it is X, it is X, and it is X. Okay. So therefore, which means the variable here is going to be equals to your X altogether. So which means the variable of this expression is going to be your X. Now, number two, they say the number of terms that you have, right? So this is like terms. So remember that now terms, we said they can either be separated by a plus or a minus, right? So we are going to look for those two characters. Now here, is this going to be, is it this separated? Yes, this is going to be your term number one. This is going to be your term number two. This is going to be your term number three. This is going to be your term number four. And this is going to be your term number five, right? So which means now the number of terms that you have here, you have 5 terms, right? Now you have 5 terms each that you are given here. Now, after that, number three, now they say, what is the coefficient of x to the power of 3? Now, remember, now, if they are looking for what we call your coefficient, now, what is going to be your coefficient? Coefficient, as we might have, said earlier, it is basically that number uh, to which it is multiplied by what? A variable. And I know that doesn't make sense, but now basically, isn't it that we said when we have, let's say, 3x, 3xy, right? So basically, what are that going to be? Your coefficient of that, the coefficient is going to be the 3, right? Even if you can say, let's say you have 7x, right? The 3 here is going to be the coefficient because it is going to be what? It is going to be the value. This is going to be the value just next to your unknown altogether. So therefore, this is going to be your coefficient. Now, what is going to be the coefficient of x to the power of 3? Now, remember x to the power of 3, if we can write it here, this is x3 over 2. And remember that here it's same as 1. So basically, what the or rather the coefficient of x to the power of 3 is going to be, this is going to be 1 over 2 x to the power of 3. Let's write it nicely here. This is going to be 1 over 2 altogether. So basically that is going to be the coefficient. So the coefficient of this x to the power of 3 is what? Is 1 over your 2 altogether. That is going to be the coefficient of that. And now, lastly, now what we are going to be looking at now, it is a degree before the last one. The degree, remember, it is the highest power. What is the highest power here? X to the power of 5, right? So, which means the degree here, or the degree of this particular thing, it is going to be, or this expression is going to be the 5th degree, right? Yes, let's use the proper word. This is the fixed degree. And now then that is going to be as far as degree is concerned. And then now your number 5, or rather your number 5, they say now what is the constant? Now which one is going to be your constant here? Is the one that uh just stands alone there, and the one that is only that it doesn't have your what that doesn't have your these things, which is your variables, and therefore it's going to be your term. So, or rather your constant term. So therefore your constant term in this case is going to be what? It is going to be your -4 altogether. And hopefully this makes sense to you.